All right, I hope everyone is doing well. So for today's learning, we're going to be doing a little bit of science, and we are going to be learning about habitats. Now, what habitat simply means is where animals live. That's what a habitat is where they live. And we're going to look at 4 different habitats. The first one is a forest. The second one is a desert. The third one is the ocean. And the fourth one is a little bit different. It's called wetlands. But once I name and show you a picture of some animals, you'll know exactly what that means. So forest, desert, ocean, and wetland. So here is an example of a forest, and there's one animal that does not belong in this forest. So it looks like we have a hawk or an eagle that would live in a forest. A raccoon definitely would live in a forest. A bear would definitely live in a forest. Deers would live in a forest. You don't see a deer here. Okay. But obviously this fish here does not belong in the forest, right? Okay. So that's a forest. So think of all the different forest animals. Owls and birds are all examples of forest animals. Okay, foxes would be an example of a forest animal as well. Here we have wetlands, so a little bit different. Wetlands are like your marshy, swampy kind of areas. Cattails. So ducks and geese would definitely live in wetlands. Beavers would live in wetlands. Frogs and toads would live in wetlands. Fish would live in wetlands, and snakes would live in wetlands. And obviously a giraffe would not live in a wetland, right? The next one is oceans. Of course, we know that sharks and whales and some clams and fish live in oceans. There's some seahorses here. Over here, an octopus. And of course, the dog would not live in an ocean. I think we know what would live in an ocean. And then next we have the desert. Well, we know that camels would live in a desert. Some kangaroos would live in a desert. There's actually some types of dogs and wolves that would live in deserts. And this is called the scorpion, a little insect that would live in a desert. And we know that parrots do not live in deserts, right? These actually animals live in a jungle. That's a different habitat. There's many different habitats. We're just going to focus on these 4 right now. A jungle is another habitat. Okay. So here are the 4 different habitats that we're going to look at. Another habitat would be the Arctic, right? The very cold weather. When we did a week on that, we looked at Arctic animals with the polar bear and seals and penguins and so on. That's another habitat. We're just going to focus on these 4 right here. What you're going to do is you can choose 1 or more of these. So you can draw each habitat and draw pictures of the 3 different animals. So you could draw a habitat of a forest and have 3 or 4 different animals drawn in there and labeled. And you would do that for each. And again, you can pause this video whenever you want to get the titles of them and to review what animals are in the habitat. Or you can simply write the names of 3 animals in each habitat. So you can make a list as such with the heading, and underneath you could write down the names of the animals. All right. You can do 1 or more of these. Or lastly, some of you might have these. If you have a lot of stuffed animals, you can take those stuffed animals and sort them by the habitat they would live in. Okay, so if you had some fish stuffed animals, you'd put them in an ocean habitat. If you had a frog, a snake, and a duck, let's say, you could put that in the wetland habitat, and you can sort it that way. So choose 1 or more of these, have fun with it, but we are learning about habitats, okay? So you can pause it here to get the titles of the habitats. All right, so have fun with this. Take care.